I'm going to take 2024 rookie picks and rank them in comparison to 2023 rookies. In my mind, this should both give you the best way to look at how we should be valuing those guys you drafted last year and how you should be valuing the incoming class of rookies, particularly the rookie picks that you have right now if you were to go out there and try to trade them. Now, in tier one, I understand there's a lot of hype in this year's rookie class. We'll talk about Caleb Williams in just 1 second, but CJ Stroud has to stand by himself. Now, there's always the next best quarterback prospect that we're getting sold every single season. I understand Caleb Williams is drawing the comps to Patrick Mahomes, but let's take a step back and let's look at what CJ Stroud just did this season. As a rookie quarterback, CJ Stroud went out there and had 23 passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He had an interception rate of 1%, which was the lowest mark in the NFL as a rookie. He averaged 273 passing yards per game. He had 8.7 adjusted yards per pass attempt. CJ Stroud arguably just put up one of the most impressive rookie quarterback seasons of all time. And halfway through the year before his injury, people were comparing him to other MVPs in the league. It's nuts what CJ Stroud just did. And it would be reckless to rank anybody, regardless of how exciting they may or may not be, in the same tier with CJ Stroud, particularly in Superflex leagues. Now, of course, all my rankings are updated on flockfantasy.com. I actually have my rookie picks ranked on flockfantasy.com as well, both for Dynasty Superflex and Dynasty one quarterback leagues. So if you're saying, Mason, I'm tired of hearing you talk about this from a Superflex perspective, just go to the site, pull up Dynasty one quarterback, and you can see how everything shakes out there. This video should still be very useful for you, though. Now, dropping down to our next tier, I'm not going to go with anybody from last year's class. We're going to go with the 101 and 102. Now, obviously, this is based off a Superflex league where you can get Caleb Williams at the very top. We can assume that Caleb Williams will be the 101 unless something dramatic changes. He's being sold to be Patrick Mahomes, People are very excited. He has rushing upside as well. I actually got to see him play in school, which is pretty cool. But nonetheless, this is a quarterback that has a ton of hype. I think he is the 101. But what we have to look at is you actually have more value with the 101 or the 102 versus the second ranked rookie in the class. Say if I were to have to go out there and I were to have to say, okay, yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the second rookie in my rankings. Regardless, we are ranking prospects here. Marvin Harrison Jr. may actually be behind some of those guys in last year's class, but when you get the optionality with the rookie pick, where just in case something happens with a bad landing spot, just in case maybe Drake May ends up finding himself in a beautiful situation and you would rather go that direction at too. I'm actually going to be placing a premium on the rookie picks at this time of the year, just in direct contrast to the prospects that we think we'll be looking at, because with the rookie pick, you have the added flexibility just in case something were to go wrong or just in case someone else that you weren't projecting lands in a phenomenal spot. Now, going down to our third tier, we are going to have Anthony Richardson. With Richardson, very difficult to talk about him in depth. Obviously, we barely got to see him in Indianapolis. I mean, this was a team that looked pretty good. I mean, if you had a fully healthy Anthony Richardson all season, I think it would have been very exciting, especially for all the best ball teams where you took Richardson. But nonetheless, what he came in and did is he showed that he has rushing upside. And if you're going to have rushing upside at the quarterback position, you are going to find success in fantasy football in particular, especially when you're in a good organization. I don't even really want to be looking at the statistics from his rookie season. I know he started 4 games, but he was in and out. So yeah, we can sit here and go, oh, he averaged 144 passing. It's not going to help you at all. Jahmyr Gibbs will be our next guy. With Jahmyr Gibbs, yes, I had him ranked behind Bijan Robinson coming into this past season. And honestly, that was regardless of me being biased or not, hook 'em Lawrence. But Gibbs came out, absolutely dominated down the stretch, playing in one of the best offenses in the NFL, running behind one of the best offensive lines. Not only did he have the receiving usage that you were naturally expecting from him, but what he was able to do in the second half of the season that was so impressive was he was able to take over the goal line work from David Montgomery. An incredibly young rookie. The team has a ton invested into him. So I have no hesitation with Jahmyr Gibbs here. Now we're going to go with the 103. 103 is a little bit murky, right? Maybe it ends up being Marvin Harrison Jr. if he falls. Maybe it's Drake May. Maybe Jaden Daniels with rushing upside finds himself in a good spot. Or maybe you have someone crazy taking Malik Neighbors if he were to go to Los Angeles. But we will take the pick. You have a lot of exciting prospects in this range, and you have that flexibility that we talked about earlier on. And then we will go Bijan Robinson at 7. Now, you can mix up any order of these assets in this tier. If you wanted to move the 103 behind Bijan Robinson, you do you. I would love to see it. If you wanted to move Anthony Richardson to the bottom of the tier, you do you. If you wanted to move Gibbs to the bottom of the tier, you do you. That's why we're doing this as a tier list. You can rank these in the order that you want, but I do think that this is the group that belongs together. Love Bijan as a prospect, definitely flash as a rookie, can be a lot better this next season with no Arthur Smith, or at least that's what I'm hoping. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to be going with the 104. Now, obviously, I would not have this pick here if it was not a super flex league. If it's a one quarterback format, we would be lowering the value of the pick. But here, you may see Drake May fall. I mean, hell, maybe you have Jaden Daniels, maybe you have Malik Neighbors. Those guys that we talked about previously. There are a lot of players at the very top of this draft that could find themselves at the 104. And if I was looking at a potential franchise quarterback with rushing upside, I'd probably rather have that guy over Puka in a super flex league. I'd say Puka easily needs to be ahead of the 104 if you are playing in a one quarterback format. And if you were playing in a one quarterback format, Puka, after breaking rookie records, doing what I thought was impossible, of course, I'm an idiot, going out and just embarrassing me every single week, you have to give the man his respect. And if you were playing in a one QB league, I think you'd be as high as the 102 in this year's class. Now, our next guy will be Sam Laporta. I mean, with Laporta, frustrating that you get the injury at the very end of the year, but Laporta just put up one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen from a tight end. And I'd say at this point, Laporta has to be the tight end 1 in Dynasty. And at the same time, you can make an argument that he may be the tight end 1 in redraft leagues this next season. So I have to be extremely excited. I mean, if he was fully healthy and we got to see what was going to go down in the playoffs, then you could be even happier with it. Now, 105 is going to be a range where it's difficult to know exactly what you're looking at. Maybe it's Jaden Daniels, depending on where he falls in the NFL draft. Maybe it's Malik Neighbors, depending on landing spot. Or maybe this is the range where we pivot over and look at another tight end like Brock Bowers. Obviously, Bowers is a tight end that has not as much hype as Kyle Pitts, but pretty damn close. Someone that people have been talking about for years coming out of Georgia. But you have a lot of flexibility with the 105. And I think no rookies in last year's class showed enough to just solidify themselves over this spot. Like maybe you make an argument for Jordan Addison. I mean, Addison went out there and had a comparable rookie season to guys like Drake London, T. Higgins, Jeremy Maclin. I mean, it was nice, right? It's just difficult to project out the situation in the long term. Where Justin Jefferson, probably there. I mean, Kirk Cousins, we don't necessarily know. This team could do something at quarterback through the offseason. Now, I actually just updated on flogfantasy.com our rankings. I moved the 106 ahead of Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'm going to get an in-depth video breaking down Jackson Smith-Njigba on flogfantasy.com for y'all this week. I had to move him down just a bit because if you look at what he did as a rookie, averaging 3.8 receptions per game, 5.5 targets per game, and being incredibly inefficient with this volume with only 38 receiving yards per game, he was in line with Wan'Dale Robinson, George Pickens, Rondale Moore, Jalen Reagor, Robert Woods, Kenny Britt, Antonio Bryant in Dallas in 2002, and Travis Taylor as a 21-year-old rookie. So not great company. I love the player as a prospect. And that's why I had to move him behind the 106 because maybe, yeah, looking at Romo Dunze and say, yeah, this is someone that I'd rather have going out there and, of course, taking down our Texas Longhorns. But if you wanted to check out all these updated rankings consistently on flogfantasy.com, we are actually going to be getting our updated prospect rankings out. Hopefully by the time you've seen this video, they are on the site live. And of course, that's where all the rankings are. That's where our Dynasty Trade Calculator is. So you can get your team broken down by yours truly in a Dynasty Fantasy Football podcast. Sign up, code FLOCK. You're going to get 30% off any subscription. Plus, yours truly will break down your Dynasty team with the podcast. And code FLOCK will also get you a 7-day free trial when you sign up. But going over to our next pick, we will be looking at the 107. Maybe you have one of those top prospects falling this far. I understand we could be a little bit more reluctant to say it's a guarantee, but we see this every single year, right? There's a guy like Brock Bowers going to land in a bad spot. People are going to talk themselves out of him. And then all of a sudden you can get a stud prospect in the middle of round 1, particularly in super flex leagues, or you can get a marginal prospect in a great landing spot. This is about that range you're looking at in rookie drafts. We will go to Von Achane at 16. We'll talk about Tank Dell in just a second as well. I know everybody's probably screaming about that. With Achane, my issue is yeah, he came in unbelievable efficiency as a rookie. One of the most efficient rookie running backs that has ever been in the NFL. But the issue that most people, including myself, had with Achane coming into the NFL was the size didn't necessarily indicate that he could be a 3-down bell cow back while staying healthy. And maybe I'm just being a little bit biased here, but his rookie season didn't really change that in my mind. He came in and proved, yeah, he can be very, very efficient. He's an elite level athlete. And if the offense is great, he can be great. But I don't know. I just didn't necessarily see the ability to command a large workload. So I'm going to be a little hesitant to pencil him as an RB1 going forward. And I'd rather see the volume just in case the efficiency falls. Now, dropping down to our next tier. These are a lot of players that are exciting, particularly at the wide receiver position. I think you make an argument to rank these guys in whatever order that you want. I'm going to go Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Bryce Young, Tank Dell, the 108, and Jaden Reed. Now, let's start it off with the elephant in the room, and that is going to be Tank Dell here. Tank Dell, phenomenal rookie season. Superb. On the back of CJ Stroud coming out and submitting himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. If you are looking at Tank Dell, he averaged 64.5 receiving yards per game. Tank Dell had 7 touchdowns in 11 games played, and Tank Dell was one of the best rookies in this year's entire NFL. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, while Tank Dell was superb this season, what was the issue with Tank Dell coming into the year? Weighs 165 pounds. We had never seen a wide receiver be this small and have fantasy football success, typically because if you are a player that's this small, you can't get hit consistently by guys that weigh 250 pounds and be able to hold up through the course of an entire season. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. We just have never seen it happen before. So he is ultimately an outlier at the end of the day, and he's been a phenomenal, phenomenal player, but an outlier with that. Now, the second thing I do want to point out here with Tank Dell, I'm not trying to talk down on him. Obviously, I have him ranked as a mid-first round pick in terms of value. If you took him in the 3rd round, took him in the 4th round, you had a steal, and you should be so damn happy with him on your roster. I'm just explaining why he's not worth like a top 5 pick in this year's rookie draft with how good of a rookie season that he had. Is Tank Dell just played this season at 24 years old? Tank Dell is older than Kyle Pitts. Now, obviously, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, okay, Tank Dell's already peaked, blah, blah. No, I'm not going to say that. But what we have historically seen is rookies that come in at an extremely old age in the NFL. You do need to put a slight discount on that production as a rookie in comparison to the guy that comes into the NFL at 21 years old. So I understand, looks like we are extremely low here on Tank Dell. And while, yes, he was a phenomenal rookie, I do want to at least just address the red flags because I understand that everybody already knows the positives. Now, going over to Bryce Young, this will be also a touchy subject that we have to discuss. I had Bryce Young ranked as the quarterback 2 in this year's past class. I had him ranked ahead of CJ Stroud after the NFL draft, just simply because I looked at them and said, okay, they have similar profiles in terms of their rushing upside. NFL talent evaluators have determined that Bryce Young was worth the pick over CJ Stroud in the NFL. And obviously they got it horribly wrong, which led us to getting it horribly wrong as well. But nonetheless, if you are looking at Bryce Young, just because I had him ranked as the quarterback 2 in last year's class after the NFL draft, doesn't mean I can come out here and say everything's going to be all right. Bryce Young just put up one of the worst seasons we have ever seen from a quarterback, let alone a rookie quarterback, of course. Now, I understand, yes, we can sit here and we can make a million excuses for him. He was put in a position to fail. Everybody knew this coming in, right? Nobody looked at DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo, and thought this is an above-average group. I mean, I was making fun of the Carolina Panthers all offseason on Twitter. But nonetheless, you have Bryce Young, 5.0 adjusted yards per pass attempt, 179 passing yards per game. He had 477 sack yards and 2,800 passing yards. unbelievably bad. I understand. Horrible situation. Coaching staff wasn't great. Ownership is a train wreck. And my thing is, where's the light at the end of this tunnel? You can make an argument, oh, Bryce Young's put into San Francisco and he's Brock Purdy instead, blah, blah. Make the argument, but that's never going to happen. Bryce Young's stuck in a horrible organization with horrible ownership. We don't know if the new coaching staff's going to be able to come in and fix him. So, yeah, I don't know. It's very hard to see how this ship gets turned around, at least based off what we've historically seen when quarterbacks just completely fall off after this bad of a rookie season. What's nice to see, obviously, has guaranteed of job security going forward. Now, Dalton Kincaid at 23, definitely flashed when he had the Dawson Knox injury. He faded down the stretch. I think Kincaid can be someone that rises up these rankings through the NFL playoffs, similar to Jaden Reed. There'll be a few of these names here that honestly may shape up the tiers once we get the playoffs underway. And then we're going to go the 109, 110 here just to get the added flexibility. And then I'm going to take Will Levis at 26. I understand, yes, we looked at Will Levis's rookie season. We looked at where he went in the NFL draft, and we said based off historical data, he's most likely not a franchise quarterback, and most likely he is not the future of the Tennessee. That was very triggering for a lot of people, but it is the facts based off what we've historically seen. Will Levis is most likely not the long-term franchise quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. Love the dude. He was super nice to us at the NFL draft. Rooting for him. He had a horrendous offensive line last season, and at the same time, a very bad wide receiver core. But I would just ask you the same question that I asked regarding Bryce Young. Where's the light at the end of the tunnel? How do you go from a team with the worst offensive line in the NFL, at least pass blocking wise, and at the same time, a team with a 32, 33-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, and turn around your offensive line play as well as your receiving play at the same time? I don't know. But I think that's all I have for y'all with this tier list. Thank you again for hanging out with me. And of course, if you wanted to see these constantly get updated through the offseason, if you wanted to see our 2024 rookie rankings, so we'll be live on flockfantasy.com by the time you're watching this video. If you wanted to check out our Dynasty trade calculator, if you wanted to check out all our Dynasty rankings, it's all on flockfantasy.com. Promo code FLOCK is going to get 30% off any subscription. Plus, yours truly will break down your Dynasty Fantasy Football team in a podcast. And on top of that, code FLOCK will get you a free week trial when you sign up. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you, and really hope we get to see you out with the video tomorrow.